Okay, I'm live. Okay, finally. Okay, I'm live. Okay, time to get this started. Picture and sound are good. Excellent. It seems to work. I had some issues using the microphones, so I needed to switch over to the AirPods. So let's see how long they last. But good thing it works. That makes me happy. Piotr was nice enough to help me and get everything set up. Of course, if you don't know Piotr, then you might want to get to know him because he will be your best friend if you ever do anything in War Machine or any game, miniature game, when it comes to live streaming or using cameras or sound. So I am painting this army up in the 24 hours was my goal, and that is from being undercoated, I should say, and assembled. Everything is magnetized and assembled, and then I have 24 hours to get it done. But I don't have to do those 24 hours in one sitting. So today I hoped I could maybe do the first 4 hours and sort of move on from there. The army so far, it's a 100-point list of pure Fane of Nyrro. I'm not using any mercenaries. I really want to try out the army as it is, even though it does have some issues since it can't, all the releases aren't out yet. So, but they do seem to be doing quite well anyway, regardless of that. So I won't be too whiny about it. But so far, I've only had one game with Fane of Nyrro, and quite enjoyed that. I forgot some things. You know, like the reason you take excessive healing on your lights is to use excessive healing, and then you forget it exists, then you forget to cast it with your caster as well. You know, that kind of stuff. But that always happens when you play something for the first time. Same things are forgotten or things are played wrong. It's fine. It's not an issue. But currently I'm just going through all the models because I've base coated them all in black. But of course, as you know, spray doesn't always cover everything. So I'm just going over if I've missed something, and then I will start doing most of the work, the base of the work. This will be a speed paint, as you can imagine then, me doing this in like 24 hours. But of course, I will use a method called slap chop, as most of you probably know what that is. Bro got Pop-It as his paint storage. Oh, yeah. These Pop-Its, they're fantastic. This is your the best thing ever for using as palettes, or how do you say, as a palette, color palette? Yeah, color palette, the paint palette. That's the one, paint palette. Because when you're done, you just leave it, and then when the paint is dried, you just pop it out, and then it's fine. You can just reuse it. I have a bigger one that I'm going to use later for the speed paints, and this is just for the regular paint so far. So that's all we had for the black. Most of it had been covered quite well. We will get into the dry brushing stage of this using these big fat ones. And of course, our first paint will be Greatcoat Gray, P3. You can use any gray for this, but I quite like to use the paints I have available, and the P3 paints are really nice. Time to start working. Let's start with Sybban, Sybaris, or Cyberis, or whatever it's called. Let's start with her. And her base. I did make some changes to this model because I thought I'm using sort of a castle ruiny type base, and I figured this is the proper one that she's meant to sit on, but it didn't really fit with the castle ruins theme as much as I'd hoped. It's a gorgeous piece of terrain, so I might use that for other things, but so I just made my own little pillar and put her on there. So she's flying very weird at an angle, but it looks kind of cool. So basically just dry brushing this. This is just the first layer of gray, so this can be quite heavily dry brushed, he said, and then wiped off some paint from his brush. But yeah, this can be quite heavily done. And then we're moving on to white after this, just to get that white popped up everywhere on the brightest regions. As we will do this very quickly, we will also, and I say we, like I'm, like the royal we, man, as the dude would say. But moving on to white and then going for the speed paints after that. Of course, when using Slapshot as a method, some people think that, oh, well, then you can, it doesn't look as good as if you highlight it or do this and this. There's nothing saying that you cannot highlight Slapshot. So if you want a Slapshot, go ahead. And then if you have time, when you're done, you can just go through it again. Put some highlights on there, get it done. This works really well for the wings. Quite liking this. So hopefully I can do this for about, 4 hours now. I'll see if I can get some work done. I think I should be able to get quite a lot of work done in that time, as I'm using this method of painting. For those who don't know, we have Euro Machine Weekend coming up at the end of July. And it'll be the last of July and the first week of August. And it's an IG qualifier on the Saturday, which means I decided that the event must be fully painted. This means that I realized also that if I'm going to join in, I don't actually have a fully painted army, unless I'm playing like my WTC list from 2 years ago, which I'm not, because they don't exist anymore. The rules have changed so much since then. So I'm basically thought I would, get a brand new army and paint it all up in one go, and see if that worked. So hopefully it does. But yeah, Sybaris is quite cool. Played her yesterday. I played this army into one of the best gun lines in the game, and if you can guess which one that is, you'll get a free Kekschoklad from me at the WTC this year. But nobody will guess which one it was. But yeah, I really got my ass handed to me completely, and it was a bummer. So apparently the Fane Nyrro can play quite well into gun lines if you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, you are getting shot off the table. And Sybaris got killed by, I think, 2 lights that shot it off the table. If it hadn't died, it could get charged by a little Deuterino with Weapon Master and extra die, double Weapon Master attacks as well, but didn't quite need that. It died so quickly anyway. So painting the first Vordak now. Really enjoying the Vordaks. I was surprised by how awesome they were yesterday. Sure, they're only POW 15, but they are really, really cool. And I really enjoy the fact that they have Fury 5 and boosted melee attack rolls against warrior models. That does simplify things and makes it a little more fun. So quite neat. This could be done with an airbrush. I just couldn't be bothered to get the airbrush out, and I figured many people don't have airbrushes. So if someone wants to imitate this, you can just do this with a brush. I have a little tweezers here because every once in a while I hit some sort of micro support, the tiny little supports from the 3D printing that have not been removed. So then I just remove those before dry brushing over those areas. It is Friday night here in Sweden, so hopefully some people are sitting and painting and need some company, and I do too. So far these lists, I mean, there are 2 casters released for the Swedish Master. Ashmal's box does release 28th of July, which is very good news, I should say, for me and the other Fane and Nyrro players, because that means we can play Ashmal at the Swedish Master at the Euro Machine weekend. So, as IG qualifiers do specify that models need to be officially released, and Ashman's boxes, as I said, released 28th of July, and the tournament starts 3 days later. Another model that is allowed at the Swedish Master is Constant Blaze and Gallant, because they are released on the 30th of July, and they might not be in our hands by then, but that means it's, time for Conversion City for those people who want to convert things and try out the Gallant or Constant Blaze. But we'll have to see if someone does that or not. But let's face it, we all want to see what she can do. Gallant looks pretty cool. I had the idea of ripping Constant's head off and replacing it with like a skeleton head and painting them both up in like rust, like they're all old and dead and look like Crix took them over. I think that'd be quite cool. The Vordak has 3 sets of wings. I don't know if anyone has used the claws or not, but I think I don't know if anyone plays the claws, but I've only so far in my lists used the poisonous barbs or whatever it's called, poison wings. They're part 13 poison, which is quite neat if you play into living models, because then you get boosted attack rolls against warrior models, and then you get an extra damage roll, an extra damage die, which means that you're 3 dice damage, 3 dice to hit, and you have 2 initials, and then you can buy several more attacks, like 5 of them, which means you have 7 attacks with 3 dice to hit, 3 dice damage, and that should be able to do things, should be able to kill things. If you run into a caster or something, especially one that is not like armor 19 or 17 or whatever, then you can start boosting those attack rolls because you already have 3 dice on the damage roll, so it's kind of sweet. The only downside to the poison wings, which rightfully so, is the fact that they only have a 1-inch melee range, whilst the bladed wings have a 2-inch melee range. They're POW 15 and they can reach 2 inches. And since if you have the alpha head and you're going into units, then it's kind of nice to have a 2-inch melee so you can actually reach a full unit. Because then you can almost reach every model in a unit, close to anyway. So I think that's rather neat. So in my high scene list, I'm actually using 2 of these with alpha heads and bladed wings. And then in the Ashmal list, I'm using 2 with the shrieker heads or screecher heads. I don't remember what, but yeah, the cool heads, the coolest head in the box. The ones that are yelling, these ones. They are so cool. Big fan of these. So those are also really cool. They have a spray 10, and if you hit something, you can place it 1 inch. And that means you can trigger your own admonition if you need it, because you can place a model within 6 of you, and then you can admonition. And since Ashmal has admonition, that works quite well. But you can also place things outside of scenario contesting range and such, which is rather sweet. And sort of the main thing I would feel that I would like to use it for anyway. Ashmal feels like a real scenario pusher, so I'm looking forward to giving him a go. I've only tried Icene so far, so I have to see how that works. If I can play him well enough. I do have a couple of months before the WTC, so still have a lot to do until then, but if the army is finished, then the army is finished. So no need for anything else no need to think about other armies to play if I have one that's already painted. Convergence being, of course, my number 2, which was if I don't have an army to paint or get painted in time, then I can always play Convergence, because you can always paint Convergence in time for a tournament. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, what should I play? What should I play? I can't get anything painted. Convergence, my friend. Convergence. They will definitely be the choice for people who are in a rush to paint and need to get things done. They're gorgeous models. I'm a big fan of Convergence, my first army ever in War Machine. I started with them back in Mark II. Syntherion, the battle box, of course. And quite enjoyed it. Not so much in Mark II, because I only played into Bradigus World War. But so I switched to Trolls, and then I could beat that army. But I played Convergence quite a bit this year, and really enjoyed it. Super fun army, especially Aurora and all the angels. So wicked cool. Very enjoyable. So, let's get some more paint in the palette. I do have the color theme mapped out for this army, and it's one that I'm very comfortable with. Most of you have probably recognized that color scheme, as I do enjoy those colors to work with. So this will be a black with darker highlights, whereas interior navy for the skin of the beasts, which is sort of black, but it does have a little blue highlight style. So black, sort of, yeah, a little coal black feel, really. So that's what we're using for the skin of the beasts. And then we are using turquoise for the wing membranes. We are using rust for the metal parts. We're going to use even more rust than I did. I did paint up the hive mind cadre last year. Painted that up in an evening, actually, and used a similar color scheme. Not exactly the same, but you will recognize this sort of my thing to use rust for metals. And it seems like it's fit the army really well. I really like that this army has like rusted metal parts. Because I feel like, I mean, this is Vampire Counts, let's just face it. If you like Vampire Counts, if you're like an old Warhammer Fantasy player, and think, oh man, I want to play vampires. They were so cool back in 6th edition or 5th edition. When Warhammer Fantasy used to be a really good game. Well, at least good, I shouldn't say fun. But and if you're really like missing that, you really want to try that out, feel. I miss the vampires. I miss the fluff of vampires. Play style of vampires. They're so weird, and yes, they are. They are super weird. Then you need to give this army a go. I mean, you're still doing vampires. You can still paint them up exactly as you would paint a vampire count army. It's exactly the Hero Hammer days when Warhammer was awesome. I do like this Steam Force just really recognizing that Warhammer, like without Warhammer, they probably wouldn't exist as miniature designers and miniature game makers. I really like that Matt Hart mentioned it, I think it was at an Epicon last year, and he just said we stand on the shoulders of giants. I think that's pretty beautiful. We've lost a number of good people from the Warhammer hobby. John Blanche just passed away. I think it was it a year, 2 years ago? The Brian Ansell passed away. The start, like the founder, Games Workshop on Warhammer, and those people are, they've created this hobby that we now spend so much time in. The fact that I'm almost 40 and sitting in my garage that I have insulated to be able to sit here all year round, painting these little plastic or resin toys, it's thanks to these dudes. And I really think, yeah, I completely agree. They do have thanks, Piotr. You got Toledo then. For those of you who don't know, I mentioned in the beginning that Piotr really helped me like set up the stream and how it works and everything. So, as I said before, if you don't have a friend like Piotr, you should get a friend like Piotr, who takes time out of his day to help technological morons like myself. It's very nice, and then I can sit and do this, and then you can watch it, and then you can comment, "Oh look, I broke a model." That's the problem with dry brushing, isn't it? A little piece fell off. Oh well, we'll glue that on later. The funny thing is that I don't really mind as much because I printed these wings myself. So, my fault. Probably cured that too long. Um, and now that's an issue, isn't it? Because now you can just get like, as long as the body of the beast doesn't break, you can just print new ones, new heads, new wings if you need them. Of course, we want to do that as little as possible, but I do love the fact that the option is there. Makes me happy. These are indeed the printed arms. Not all of them, some of them, but the one that I just broke was printed by myself. Um, the camera is rather zoomed in, so you can't tell, but there's a huge resin printer standing next to me. Um, and I've printed quite a bit of these things, some heads as well. I want the variation. I really like varied models. I prefer that models look a little different, which is also why I do such extensive basing on these things, because I really want them um, to look unique in some way. I really liked what SFG did this time with the alternative wings and heads, because they sort of went with the same. It's the same sculpt as the ones you get in the box, but they're like used and torn, and they've seen battle. You know, they have like scars and everything. They're battle damaged, and that's really neat. Because then they look the same. You can tell that you can sort of, well, you know, they've been to battle. One of them has a huge scar on the wings. It's really cool. I really like it. I'm a big fan. Big fan. So I can't actually see how many people are watching. I wonder if that's available. That information is available somewhere. I have no idea. But I can see the chat at least, so that's something. It's probably possible to find that information, but I'm not doing this routinely. Not as routinely as I should. It's the same with the podcast. Me and Olof we got really tired of podcasting after we did the 12-hour podcast that we didn't release. Because now it's like, why would you release a January update podcast when the mid-year update's already out? But we podcasted for 12 hours. I think after that we sort of got worn out and or burned out. So we haven't podcasted at all as much this year. Hopefully we can do it a little more eventually. But yeah, it was a rough time. And then we had, you know, life things get in the way. And both him and I have been really busy. But don't worry, we haven't quit. If you're worrying about that, then that's not then you're doing it wrong. So don't do that. We will definitely get back to it. And now with the Swedish Master closing in, that's going to be wicked fun. Who do you think will take it home this year? Will it be Olof? He does typically do that. You know, it's sort of his thing. Like, oh, there's a championship. Let me just go grab that first prize, and then I'll be on my way for the motherland, yada yada. You know, sort of Olof's MO. And but he does lose games. It does happen. It's not unheard of. But it's we have some of the best players in the nation, of course, coming to the Swedish Master, and I think top contenders, I'm guessing, is like, of course, Olof, and then we have Mattias Dreifalt, who is one of the best players in the nation. Oskar Siebeck, who's usually always stable. He does have some, I mean, I think he usually goes like 6-0 at WTC. So he's very, very good. And then we have Olof and Matthias. And then we do have Smulan, Dröschmeister Marcus. He's also very good. So there are some contenders that are very good players. And you never know, right? You never know how games are going to go. Even if they go your way and then something happens and then someone made that 20% assassination and all of a sudden an excellent player is out of the running to become the Swedish Master. That happens. It happens. And I'm really looking forward to the Swedish Master. This year we have some new players coming in. I mean, we have some new players at the WTC as well this year. Of course, we had Busses Lakeje, you know, the guys from Stockholm. And Elena, of course, came over, moved to Sweden. She went and came like, oh, look at that. There's a tournament in Sweden. Let me just go win that, take that first prize. So she won the Solo Masters at the WTC, and she's coming down from Stockholm to show us all how Chimera should be played. So looking forward to seeing that. I haven't faced her yet. I would love to. I just have an issue with those dice she's using. You know, it's like D12s, but they have like two ones, two twos. So it's a D6 in like D12 shape. And I just looked at it and thought, damn it, I'm going to have a stroke watching this live stream. I know it's simple. I know it's simple. But so is my mind. But I'm looking forward to her coming down. And the entire, I mean, the whole gang from Busses in Stockholm are coming down. So we don't see those very much. I'm in the very south of Sweden, so not a lot of contact with the metas up in the middle of the country. We like to say middle of the country, but Stockholm is really not in the middle of the country. It's also, if you ask David, for example, who lives in the up north of Sweden, he would probably say Stockholm is in the south. And for us, it's like, no, it's up north. But we have so much north. David was one of the judges at this year's WTC. If you did not know, he's been loving the hobby aspect of this game for many years, and he's an excellent painter. He also did the best painted for the WTC, and he lives all the way up north. Like, you think Umeå is far up north? No. He's like, that's rookie numbers. Just give me a few more hours north, and then I'll be home. And he's not even. He could probably still drive for many hours to go to the up all the way to the north of Sweden. Sweden is big. Sweden is big. It's a big place. It's a wonderful place. It's a magical place. And this year we are doing the Swedish Master and the first ever Euro Machine weekend. So if you want to come, please do. Tickets still available. You can go to Longshanks and just search for Euro Machine weekend and you'll find it. There'll be a website, how to register for it, how to pay. Then you get to contact the hotel, tell them I'm coming to the Swedish Championships in War Machine. And the hotel's like, oh yeah, welcome. We'll get you the deal we have on the rooms and the prices and everything. So yeah, let's do that. Come, please. This is one of the Stragon Riders that I cut up. I removed the stone. Let's take compared to the other one. This guy has a little stone here. Oh, look at that. He's got a little yellow on his base. Let's get that black out. There's a big stone cast into the model. I did an unboxing video recently, so I talked a little about that. I cut that off so I could get this thing like on this stairway, sort of broken staircase instead. So just to get some variation. As I said before, variation is what I like when models come, when we talk about models. And when they come identical, I want to change at least some of them. And with the beast, it's quite easy because you can sort of change the poses for the wings and the heads, and you can print different wings and heads and such. So you can get a little variation and also, of course, extensive basing. But these things, yeah, no, nothing here. Get that Thermar black out and get some more down on the bases that have been forgotten. The forgotten bases. I had some of these bases or base toppers sprayed in like a bright yellow undercoat because I used them in my Chimera army, which is also sort of jungle themed. So it's the same base toppers, but they do look very different when they're painted dark or when they're painted like bright yellow. But I don't really play Chimera much, as my local player Johan has played a lot of Chimera, and he's my main opponent. So I felt like I should probably not play Chimera when I can play one of the other armies I own, because as you can imagine, I actually own several different armies, not only one. And that's not my fault, it's the Steamforce fault. Because when you release gorgeous stuff, and I must have it, and that's something I will have to take up with them. But I don't mind because I'm happy about it. So this one, the spray hadn't gotten really from below. Clearly, I had forgotten that. So I need to shove some black in to this dude, the Sithis Prophet. I used this yesterday, and my first Sith Prophet got eaten by a Strigon because I frenzied. And I was like, oh, no worries, the Strigon can still activate normally. Yeah, but it does still frenzy, and I put one of these closest. It's like, yeah, who cares, because it's like armor 19. It won't die. But if you roll double sixes on the damage, it still dies. Yeah, that happens. So first blood was me killing my own UA. It didn't feel like the best start of the game, especially not into a gun line, where I all of a sudden lost Ashen Veil for the whole unit. Not that it mattered, because he killed everything except those units, but still. Put some more black away, get some gray back. Let's get some gray back. And maybe we do the casters. Ashmael, for example. How are you doing, buddy? You're doing all right. Let's get you painted up. You're so pretty, especially in the extreme version where you don't have the huge forehead. I don't know why they would make a forehead that's twice the size of the head, but it's up to them, I guess. But that's also the reason they released you, so we would get really psyched by you coming along. That must be the reason. And I feel I went a bit Norwegian in my English now. I've been watching too much of Norseman. If you haven't seen that, it's a fantastic show about Vikings. Very realistic, if Vikings existed nowadays. Ashmael looking badass. Let's try and put you over here. Looking forward to that. Not so much. Let's take Hycene when we're doing the casters. The only thing I'm a little hesitant about is painting the skin of the vampires. I don't remember how I wanted to do it. I wanted it sort of bright or grey, or maybe purplish, or maybe I'll use the battleship grey speed paint. I don't know yet. We'll have to see. We will have to see. If my missus could see me now, she usually says that I talk a lot to myself, and sort of what I'm doing now, even though I do get some response in the chat from you guys. It's quite funny that what I'm actually doing is just sitting here talking to myself. This also the extreme version of Hycene. If you haven't seen her, hi, here she is. Hi, Scene. That's right. I'm also a dad, and this is a really cool one. Loving this. So can't wait to get some paint on this. I have to see how far I get tonight. It's 8:40 here. That's what, 20 to 9. That means I probably have until midnight or 1 or something. Still like 4 hours or 5 hours or 3 hours, depending on how tired I get. But we'll have to see. Let's start some of the infantry then. These are really beautiful models, and they, again, if you like vampire counts, you will love these because they're basically Graveguard. And Graveguard are awesome. If you don't know what Graveguard are, then you buy these, and then you look at them, and then you know what Graveguards are. Because this is how they look. It's just for a different game. So, very happy with these. I did order 3 units, and it was, I think about 1 axe arrived broken from its shaft, and then so 1 rear of the axe shaft that was also broken, and that was it. And these are very thin parts, so I wasn't totally surprised. I was actually very happy to see not more. It was very easily fixable. I decided I wouldn't be bothered to contact like missing parts when it was so easy to fix it. So when you dry brush, you do use a lot of paint because you wipe so much away. So it's like a waste of paint almost. Almost. I am, of course, going to work all this with this top shop method, but I will be spending some extra time for highlights. But the slab shop is more than enough to get it to a good level. So looking forward to getting some paint on these things. Let's get some of that face of his. This prophet. We have the other ones. Fane Knights are a real cool unit because I think that this, the fact that they're like 5 boxes with R19, they're not trivially removed. And Def 14 against shooting because they have Ashen Veil. Def 14 in melee if you have, if you're not immune to fire as the opponent because of Ashen Veil. And 14-19 with 5 boxes, I mean, that's sort of a respectable stat line. If you feat with Hycene and you actually get them to kill something like a different unit, then then they go to arm 22 on the feat turn. I did that yesterday with the Strigon Rider, and it survived with 1 box for a lot of attacks. So that's rather cool. But yeah, quite enjoying these models, and it'll be a blast to play them a little more. But the problem with this army is that I received it in a huge box, and in that box was also, yes, the badass ass of models released in a long time. Old Scuttlebutt. And all of a sudden I was sitting in the app making lists for Brian Blood Marauders because I thought a lot of them are painted because I did play them in 2024 at the WTC. So maybe not that much to do, maybe just old scuttlebutt and some little tiny things. Then I realized painting Marauder Crew, like one unit of Marauder Crew, is about as annoying as painting a whole army of Fane of Nyrro, because there's so much details and crap on Marauder Crew. So I thought maybe it's actually even quicker to paint an army of Fane of Nyrro compared to one unit of Marauder Crew. And I needed 2 units. I only have 2 painted, and I'm very excited for Admiral Boomhowler and Shadow Tongue. Very excited for both of those. They make me happy when skies are gray. I mean, say what you want about High Sea, and she's cool and all, but she's no troll. I also have an entire army of Kith Guard right behind me. You might say I purchased quite a bit of War Machine this year. But that's not my fault. As I said before, it's Steamfor's fault. They made such beautiful stuff and beautiful armies. I can't resist it. Why do they do this? It's not nice. Don't they know I have an addiction? So if you are looking into what armies have been released this year, do you think some armies now, I mean, Fane of Nyrro seems to be doing very, very well, but they're also rather new, and they are also very odd in their mechanics. Like, they're probably the weirdest stuff we've seen released since trapdoors. No, but trapdoors are also a weird mechanic, but I do think that Fane of Nyrro is even weirder than Kithgard. So if you think, which army, for example, do you think will be the most common at the WTC? Will it be Fane? Will it be Kithgard? Or will it be something else, like what? Storm Legion, Dusk? I know we all talked a lot about how good Dusk were in the beginning of the year. Seems they've fallen out of favor a little. I don't see many people talking about how scared they are of Dusk or how Dusk are excellent now, even though Helith got quite a buff in the mid-year update. So Imperatus also is a hell of a jack. I've only faced it once on the table, but then my dear friend decided to play it. He forgot to measure, and then he sort of left it outside the control range of Moraine, so I couldn't teleport back to her. It just resurrected where it stood, and then my Thunderhead could eat it up, because Thunderhead is awesome. Played quite a bit of Sparkhammer this year. It's probably the most played caster I've had this year, and really enjoyed it. He is such a fun caster, and his army is awesome, and he really puts Thunderhead on the map, because Thunderhead gets like what, speed 7 and a POW 20 base, and yeah. Yes, Lilith is still good, and Chimera are popular. Are they though? Are they that popular? I think it feels like many good players have sort of left them. I think it's what, Jamie is still playing them. I assume JVM is still playing them, because he always does. But isn't it only like JVM and Jamie and Elena? I don't know. Are they that popular? I knew that Ben Beckman played some Chimera. Was it at the German Master, the Rheincon? Um, I don't know if the Lilith nerf did enough or did too much. Because the win rate of Lilith was going down before the mid-year update. Because she had like 60-something win rate. But then, if I recall correctly, it's sort of lowered into like 50s or lower 50s even before the update happens. Like sort of like things, how it goes when people learn how to play against things. But yeah, what do you pair with Lilith? Valix? I mean, that's sort of the same caster as Lilith, but in melee instead of shooting. And then you have what, Kirax maybe? Sheeris, but Sheeris has control range 12, which means she's probably out. What do you mean? Do you think a bigger nerf is needed or is not needed? I don't think she needs a nerf. I don't think Chimera needs more nerfs. I think they're okay. Ah, you think the other casters need looking at, like a buff maybe? Yeah, I can see that. I think they lost a lot, not because their rules are bad, but because the steamroller is as it is. Because a lot of Chimera casters have control range 12. So, and control range 12 is not really a thing anymore. If you have control range 12, you're probably not doing all too well in the meta at the moment, because the new steamroller does not favor you, um, which means that you only have, like, what is it, Lilith and Nixian that have 14, and the others have 12. So you have those two casters to sort of look at, and if you don't like them or don't want to play them, then you will need to play that weird little castle bunker around a 12-inch warcaster, and nobody wants that really. Sure, there are some warcasters that can play with 12-inch control range, but then you need tools for that. I don't know. Chimera doesn't really have, like, if the Vipex, for example, had like an extended control head or something like that, maybe that would be something. Sort of like how the Jungle Troll has for Kithgard. Maybe Chimera needs something like that as well. Yeah, exactly. Lilith is still very high compared to the others. And Sheeris was like the boogeyman of last year. People were terrified of Sheeris. And the nerf to her feat is like non-existent. It's basically the same feat. You can charge, but you get -3 speed, so you don't get any charge. Like, the only thing, it's the same feat unless you have a Hunter's Mark or Boundless Charge. Then it's not the same, because then you can use that and get +2 speed and still charge. But if you don't have Hunter's Mark or Boundless Charge, Sheeris has exactly the same feat, effectively. Because, I mean, you could never charge before, and you still can't charge now, unless, of course, she puts her army in charge range. But I don't know. I've never played into a Sheeris player who does that. So, all right, almost done with the first base coat, and we're only an hour in. 23 hours to go. These are the 3D printed head for the muscle. Let's see, can that focus? Yeah, for the muzzle Strygons, and they are so adorable. They look like something out of Spirited Away or something. I don't know. They're adorable. Big fan. So I have 2 of each because I have 4 muzzled heads. So I printed 2 and then I went with 2 originals. These things are gonna look good in rust. Let's get some rust on that model. So Chimera might need a little help on the scenario front. I think Grimkin will probably be one of the most played armies at the WTC. I think you could even have a team with 3 Grimkin players and do very well. All the casters in Grimkin are strong, and the Arcana is super strong. Have you ever had an army where you feel like, oh, I just want another feat? I want to feat again. And with Grimkin, it's like, oh, sure, you can feat again. And then you can feat once more, and even once more, maybe. Because the Grimkin have like Arcana that are feat level. For example, giving your entire army stealth. That's sort of a feat level Arcana. And then you can say like, no, but not only stealth. Exactly, not only stealth. Because you can do another Arcana as well. Like the weird, stupid Prey Arcana. I get +1/+1 for my entire army, unless, of course, you're the Heretic. You get +2/+2 for the whole army. And let's face it, +2/+2 for the whole army? That's what Nixian has, but only for warrior models. And that's what Baldwin has, Gearhart, but he only has it on 1 model at a time because it's prey, so he needs to kill it to move on. And the entire Grimkin army just goes like, nah, that's how rookies do it. +2/+2, let's go. So yeah, I think Grimkin are very strong, very strong. And I think as all 6 casters can be played, or leaders, I should start saying leaders, can be played. And yes, the house is still scary. Sure, models block it. If you have a shield guard, you can put them behind your stuff, and then it's easier. But if you don't have shield guards, then you're in trouble. Then you need to put things in front that are not as valuable. And if someone comes and chop those up, like Isaiah, for example, can shoot, charge in and Thresher and kill them all, reposition, and then the house is like, do. I'm just going to shoot, drag, and eat that thing. So yeah, house is still scary. I don't think we'll see 2 houses as much, but they are very cheap. They're still only 26 points, and they do get very high POW and very hard to remove. So you might see 2 in some lists anyway. But the Grim can have so many choices that are excellent. Like I want 4 clocks in all my lists. I want 20 Dreadrots in all my lists. I want 4 Cage Ages in all my lists that I make for Grimkin. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good army. And luckily, they are 3D printable, so they're very easy to get a hold of. So we might see a lot of them, which is nice, because the best thing about the Grimkin is that they are freaking gorgeous. It's a gorgeous line of models. They're beautiful, beautiful sculpts, and I'm very happy we will see more of them. It's one of my favorite armies. I did play them a lot back in 2019. I played King of Nothing. A lot of King of Nothing. And I played 4 clocks back then. But that was when clocks were utterly broken because they could time stutter twice. So, yeah, those were the days. And nobody was happy about that. Sort of like when people say, "Oh, Mark II was such fun, and I could play Haley, and then I could choose the order of activation." Nobody liked that. Stop talking about those days as if they were fun. Nobody liked that. It wasn't good. It was horrible. It's horrible. That doesn't mean Mark II wasn't fun. Sure, it was. I had a lot of fun in Mark II. I had a lot of fun in Mark III. I probably have more fun in Mark IV than I've ever had in any edition before Mark IV. So yeah, really, I think Mark IV, especially since Team Force took over, it's been a heck of a ride. It's been an awesome, awesome ride. Very happy about it. Trigon Riders, these models are fantastic. Very happy about them. It's some of the main damage dealers in this army. This is what you need right here. This Trigon Rider. 15 boxes at arm 19 when they're within 10 of the caster. Quite hard to remove. Deceleration, arm 21. Kill something on feet turn, arm 24. So, yeah. That's freaking excellent. Shame they're FA2. FA4 would have been nice. But then they sort of would have had to release like alternative sculpts or something, because I don't want 4 identical huge large base models. That would be dull. 2 is more than enough. I wish 1 could be mirrored, so that that could work. All right, so the entire army is base coated with the first layer of gray, which means it's time to move on to white. And we're just going to mix this white a little with the gray that we had before, just to get a little more gradient feel. And then we use pure white for like the worst tips and tops. So we're going to get some white in here. A lot of white. A lot of white. And quite a little gray. And it's already a brighter gray just from what was in the palette. So we're going to mix that with some more dark gray. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, that works. Got a little bright gray variant here. So use that same brush. Gonna wipe some of that on there so that we really use all the paint. Rinse that brush and then get started on the next stage of ride brushing. Get some new paper out. All right, so we are 1 hour into painting. And 23 hours to go. 1 hour for the first layer of everything, of all the gray, the dark gray, and then we will move on to bright gray now. And I'll start with the casters because those are, look at me right in the face. Quite enjoying that. The great thing about this method is that I can use it for the base as well, because the base is getting a whole other treatment than the models themselves. But the base stuff, the base layers of gray and white are still the same. So that's very enjoyable. Saves some time as well. There we go, some brighter gray just on the outmost edges. And then we'll use some white for just the tips. I can be a little more brushy brush on the base so that it gets a little brighter. But yeah, that works. Moving on to Ashmael. Ashmael is such a cool sculpt. I do agree that a friend of mine said it's a little weird that he has the sword on his shoulder when he's sort of jumping and like charging into battle. Yes, that is a little weird. But let's just say he just took it out and is about to start swinging it or something. I don't know. But on the other hand, I would rather have it like this than like his arms, like thin arms sticking out, because when he's 3D printed, it'll just break. So I'm quite happy this is the way they went with the sculpt, actually, because then he probably won't break very much. And I'm out of, there we go, better. Ashmal is so cool. He just looks, I don't know if any of you ever played Warhammer Fantasy, but yeah, Vlad von Karstein, this is Vlad for me. That's what he is, Vlad. And let's take the Vordax then. Oh, no, of course, Sivaris was the first one I started with. So go back to this. Can be a little rough on the base, which is nice. Get that last paint out of the bristles before taking the paint. Look at this beautiful monster. Sivaris, just gorgeous. I love that they really dared to make this sculpt, with the whole weird pose flying in the middle of everything. Was it Matt Hart mentioned that it was like in they saw the movie Avatar, with all the giant lizards like banking really hard along the edges of the mountains and such. So that sort of got the inspiration for this. I love when they talk about that. It just makes me happy that they acknowledge all the other creators out there, where they get the inspiration from. Because let's face it, artists, they get inspiration from everywhere, all over the place. So very much enjoying that part of what SFG is doing. And the fact that they are embracing the hobby aspect of the game to a level I've never seen before. So I'm very happy Steamforged have taken that, approach to the game. It makes me real happy. They're doing it well. And the fact that Matt Hart is painting so much on his live streams and talking to us, showing stuff, how he's doing, how he's working. He works a little different. He works a lot with the airbrush. And I like working with the airbrush, but I've recently redone the Hobby Garage, and it's just chaos behind me. So I just couldn't be bothered to get the airbrush out. So I decided to do this with a brush instead. So, and if you feel like, I could also paint Fane and Nyrro in a short time if I do this, then you won't have to. If you don't have an airbrush, you don't have to get one. You can just do what I'm doing right now. Use a big fat dry brush. If you don't have one of these dry brushes that is an official dry brush. This is a dry brush from Vallejo, blah blah blah, or whatever it is brand that you're using. You know what you should do? Use makeup brushes. Makeup brushes, like concealer brushes, blending brushes for makeup, those are amazing. Just like when we paint with sponges, makeup sponges, they're gorgeous. Gorgeous to use. They work really well. So if you got a friend who uses a lot of makeup, ask them to give them your old brushes that they don't use anymore. Oh, because, for makeup you need maybe a little higher quality. The bristles get destroyed or something. And for dry brushing, it's like, who cares? I'm just going to dry brush. Yeah, exactly. That's very true. It does feel like Steam Forest are just more excited about the game than PP was, which is very enjoyable. I have a friend who just came back to the game. He was here last weekend. Um, no, he was here on Tuesday with his family, and he said that he had watched some of the lock and load footage, and he played a lot back in 2019, 2020, before the pandemic. And he was a local of mine because I lived in Jönköping, so we played in 2019. We played 2 games a week for, I don't know, was it 4 or 5 months before the WTC? So we played a lot. And then he's got a kid and a family, so he sort of, and the game sort of died out in Jönköping when I moved away, and we didn't have many players when I lived there either. So I think we haven't been to a tournament there since 2023. But yeah, he just came back and he said he was a little excited about these vampire things, but even more excited about these jungle troll things. And I just happened to have ordered 2 of every Kithgard box. So I gave him all my duplicates of models, and then he got a gaming mat as well. And I said, here you go. And he was like, okay, I guess I'll have to get into the game now, get back into the game. And he had been watching the lock and load footage, which was hilarious because he didn't know about scenario terrain, how that worked, because that didn't exist when he played. So he had watched, was it Mark Andre and Bout, the game they played, and he said, and then Mark Andre like moved a model into the cloud, moving the flag and putting the model where the flag was before. And he was looking at it like, whoa, he just moved a scenario piece. You can't move an objective. That's insane. And then he was like, why is WoW not telling him that he's not allowed to do that? And then he's like, why is nobody in the chat reacting to him doing that? Why am I the only one reacting? And then it's like, because the flag can stand anywhere in the cloud, because the cloud is the flag with stereo terrain. And it was just so funny to hear someone who's been out of the game for a while, and it's like, whoa, this game is not so hardcore anymore, apparently, because people keep moving flags around. It's like, oh, okay, no, that's not what happened. I saw that I had actually cracked this model's foot a little, not broken it, but that it had lost a bit of footing from the base. So I need to get this thing glued in again. Don't want to break the rest. There we go. Big chunk of glue. And then we go like this, push it in. And of course, a little. There we go. And then make it sit. Biltema glue. Best glue in this hobby. No doubt. You get like what? Is it 50 milliliters of glue and an entire accelerator bottle for €5? That's very cheap when it comes to super glue. So if you're not using that and you live in Sweden, I recommend you use that. That's the stuff we want to use. But yeah, so Alexander's back in. We went to the store and picked up the package that I got with all this stuff, so we could unpack it. And then on the way, on the way, From back from the store, he's on his phone. I was like, "What you doing?" "I'm just ordering some kit card." And he ordered a bunch, like 4 boxes. I think it was one of each box at least. So now he's like, maybe I do have time to get this like painted up before the Swedish Master, the Euro Machine weekend, and I can come. And that would be awesome. Me and Alexander have played so much. We've been on many romantic weekends together playing War Machine. Um, and yeah, it's been amazing. So I really, really am happy to see him get back into the game. He's also an excellent player. He's one of those players that, as he said yesterday, I have never won a tournament, he said. And I said, no, you haven't. But you've also made damn sure many good players have not won tournaments either. And he just laughed and said, that I have done. I have beaten many good players and made sure they did not win. Yes. Yes, he has. So happy to see him back. He also has a kid around my daughter's age, so his whole family's coming down about once a year, and playing. The kids are playing and having a grand old time. So if you haven't seen the heads, like is it the poison heads or something, the spray heads for the. Let's see, does that work? No, it does not work. Does it focus? No, it doesn't. Why not? Let's see. Put it even closer. And then we go like this. There we go. This is such an awesome head. Makes me so happy. Can't wait to paint it. I want to get to the speed paint stage. So let's wrap this up. Let's increase speed. If I can do all the gray and white within, 2 hours time limit, and I have 20 hours to have some fun, which is plenty of time. Just going over some parts of High Scene again to get them a little brighter. And Dragon Riders. Oh yeah, the guy I glued. Let's get him. He needs to be brightened up a little on his back. That's where the white will hit as well. So. Dragon Rider is beautiful. We did release some information today on the blog about the upcoming boxes for Fane and Nyrro. One with what's his face, Vorsalis, and then one with big chunky boy Harasheth. which is not Rasheth. It's Harosheth. It's another one, different one. But they're looking real cool, especially Harosheth. I know that Harosheth was spoiled. The model was spoiled at the locker load, so that was cool. Let's move on to the Fanites. Alright, so when these are done, it's just some wings that need dry brushing, and then the entire army is covered in 2 layers of gray, which means it's just white to go. Steamforce Games were nice enough to send me the box, the Executioner's Toll, this box, and hopefully I can get all this painted up so we can do a little battle report using these beautiful models. Once they're done, it's sometimes speed painting can be stressful, but most of the time I find painting to be rather therapeutic. Sure, if you only speed paint every time for like the next tournament, like I did when I was playing 40k, like I need to paint this, and then I need to paint this, and I need to hurry up. Oh, this has just got released, and this rules got changed, so this is much stronger. I need to paint this. Then it can sort of be a stress. But in general, I find that painting is very soothing, therapeutic. I remember back in 2017, I had a really rough patch in life. I sort of hit a wall, as we say in Sweden, you know, like you get burned out. Because I was doing so much stuff back then. I was working 360%. And if you use your math skills, you'll realize that's more hours than exist in a day. So yeah, that's not very good. So then I stopped doing a lot of things. I worked 2 days a week, and then I slept 4 or 5 days a week, and for about a year. I was lucky to be able to do that. Not everyone can do that. I had a really cheap rent in the apartment I lived in. I had no partner, no kids. I only had a dog, and so there was no issues for me to like. I think I earned like what €1,000 a month after taxes and such, but I only had like a rent of 250, so it was like I basically lived quite well. I only had me and the dog, so. And then I got started with Grimkin, and I bought King of Nothing and some Nice Layers because I thought they looked cool. I didn't buy an army like I did this time, like this year. I just got some models just because I thought they looked cool, and I wanted to paint them. And I sat at home and I painted these models, and I painted them quite well for that time anyway. Nowadays I speed paint better than I painted back then, but it was so nice. So in the evenings I sat all alone, dog sleeping, and It's just me and the paintbrush, listening to some audiobooks, and it was very therapeutic, and it really helped me a lot back then. Um, really simplified the recovery of being burned out. So very thankful for that. That I have painting as that outlet. There are a lot of people out there in society today that don't have that outlet and really need it to like go to your happy place. And this is my happy place. This is where I'm happy, where I think of nothing but what I'm doing or related to that. And it's worth a lot being able to do that. It's one of the great things about this hobby. I really like that this hobby is so varied that you can enjoy the painting, you can enjoy the playing, you can enjoy the casual ridiculousness in games or the super competitive scene. And the community in this game in War Machine is just fantastic. People are so lovely and they're so friendly, and people I've never met in real life, and they meet me and they are just, it feels like we're best friends already, and they just give me a big hug. Like at the WTC, I saw so many people for the first time ever, and I just got all these big hugs from strangers. Well, strangers in the sense that I've never met them. It was so nice to meet everyone at the WTC. So thankful that everyone was happy and enjoyed themselves. I'm actually sending in an application to organize the WTC one more time, so I'm meeting up with the hotel and saying we need to do this again, but we need to fit 48 tables. No, sorry, 48 teams. So a lot more tables this time. But those of you who were at the WTC know that the space, there was a lot of room. We could easily add another 20 tables without really doing any harm. Consider maybe moving the Solo Masters up to the hotel, taking that space for the WTC. But yeah, it's definitely possible. So I hope we can get that done. It'll be great to have everyone here again. I know I'm going this year as well. I'm going to Poland and meeting up with everyone. Piotr, of course, my number one guy. And it's going to be fantastic to see everyone there and see how their WTC is turning out. Maybe get some inspiration if I get to do it again. Because let's face it, the WTC does get better and better. Every year we have a WTC and we learn and what we want and what we need. So it's really great that Poland took it upon themselves to do this, and I know it's not easy. I know. I was dumb enough to do this in large part by myself. Don't do that. If you ever organize an event like this, don't do that by yourself. If you don't have anyone to help me, then to help you, and honestly, just don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Well, I should say it's worth it because I was very happy when it was done, and I did get some help, especially the last couple of months. Some people stepped in, like the boys of Boros, really helped out with that painting terrain and stuff. They were amazing. So I didn't do it all by myself, but really make sure to have people backing you up and that you arrange what you're doing and who's doing what very early. There is no discussion. And also someone coming who said they would help and then it's like, nah, I don't have time. So, oh, dang it. That can be rough. But yeah, I really hope we can do it again. But if we do it again, we will definitely not paint another 100 train tables. That's I spent so much time in this garage last year. And I have kids now. I have 2 kids now. And I won't do that again. So I've already talked to the Germans, and hopefully we can arrange that we borrow their terrain and mix it up with what we have, and then it'll be plenty. There'll be plenty for everyone. But who knows? We might be going back to Düsseldorf, or maybe we're going to Vasa in Finland. I don't know who's sending in an application. I know Atte has talked about it earlier years. Don't know how it's looking this year. Um, I know JB Perkins and what's his face? Chris something. Who won the WTC last year? They, if I recall correctly, they also said they were interested in hosting, but I do know that was after they had won the WTC, so I don't know if they were in their right minds when they said this, if it was like a fun thing or if it was a serious suggestion. I'm unsure. I will let that go unsaid and we will see if they send in an application. Um, these toxic wings, the poison wings, so gorgeous. They actually have toxins pouring from their glands on their wings. So cool. So cool. And these are the ones I printed myself, and they're gorgeous. I'm very happy they survived the printer. I did get a bunch of fails, so I needed to get these in and support them myself. I do find that a lot actually with SFG's 3D print models. That the pre-supports, they just don't do it for me. I need to support most things myself. It's would be easier to just do the pre-supports, but hey, you don't get into 3D printing because it's easy. And also, I mean, let's face it, support yourself, yeah. Auto supports go a long way. And then you can just add some, like, thicken them up and do that. It works. It works a lot. Works well. Works well. You know what I also did? I 3D printed the wings, and then I sort of mix. I have like a Strigon with SFG wings that came with the box, and then I have one with my wings, or the 3D print, my manufacturer wings. Um, but then one of the wings failed, so I actually have one of them with half and half. And so one broken wing and one whole, so to speak, or one worn out, battle worn out wing and one fresh. And it actually looks really cool. It's a lot of variation there as well. So quite happy with it. It's really cool looking. Oh, look at that. Apparently Fane of Nyrro are now available at our, oh yeah, at our store in Sweden. Well, the Beasts and the Executioner's Toll. That's cool. That means we have one online store in Sweden that stocks War Machine, or actually we do have more, but one that is exceptional in that they stock sort of everything with for all miniature games, Alpha Spel, and they also have extremely fast shipping times and such. But they apparently have Strygons, Wardax, and Executioner's Toolbox in stock. And they're not just in stock, they're also in Stockholm, which is the capital city of our nation, or they like to think so. We all know it's actually Gotham. Anyway. Um, the alpha heads are also really cool looking. Very happy to see them. Such a big smile on their face. And my favorite ones, the shrieker heads or the screecher heads. So cool. One 3D printed by me and one 3D printed by Steam4 Games. Why? Because I have two Wardax. I want different heads when they have the same heads. Because then I get variation. And let's face it, variation is beauty. Variation is key. They're also so similar, so it feels fine. It's not like it's going to confuse the opponent. And get into that internal discussion. Do you need to have the right heads on the model? And if you're asking yourself that question, the answer is yes, 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 you do need to have the right head on your models. Yes, it's important. It's just as important as having the right weapon. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but that's how it is. Or rather, I feel like if some heads get like an excuse or don't have to be represented on the model, then that's a slippery slope of what has to be represented on the model. If you have the right heads, there's no such need for that discussion. Just use the proper pieces and be done with it. And no, one more pair of wings, and then we're done with the second layer of gray, and we're 1.5 hours in. All right, this is the one that I broke off a little piece of. Let's get that glued on. And you're gonna sit like this, so the light will come here, and it'll be brighter up here, like so. And let's get some glue on. Tiny dab of glue. All that's needed. And let me do a little one of this. Oop. Oh, let's not use that. Let's use this. So much better. All right, it's stuck there. So let's give it another one of those, and then all done, all painted up. So, and I just pulled the model down on the table, from the table. Did it break? Ah, a clean break. But luckily I had the glue here already. Let's get that glued on. To be fair, I did smash that into the asphalt of the garage floor, so not that strange that it actually broke. And all good on. So let's do, okay, oh, sorry, we need to get, of course, what am I doing? We need to move on to the white. I thought I was done. Haha! No such thing as done at this moment in time. Will I pull another model down using paper towel? No, I did not. Not this time. Now it's time to go into the moral white. I'm using the P3 paints for this, quite enjoying it. And I have a lot of P3 paints. Let's see if we can. Oh yeah, there's the shells. There we go. P3, lots of them. Back to painting. So moving on to, was it? Yeah, moral white is the one. And we're just leaving. I mean, as you can see, I'm not actually even rinsing the brush right now. I may do it, I haven't done it between the grays. I may actually do it a little bit now just to weten those bristles up a little. Funnily enough, you don't want a completely dry brush when you're dry brushing. Sounds a little counterintuitive, but yes, that's how it is. Oh no, I spilled on my beautiful, beautiful, it doesn't matter, that's why it's here. Let's get that painted on the brush and we don't waste any paint. And luckily I have some paper towel here for this very reason. There we go. Some paint here and there does only wonders. And you can see that the work has been done in this area. So now we're going to move on to the white, and that's just going to be really the top parts. We're using the Vordak again, and what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to put the heads and the wings on the model so that I can very clearly see where the light will be hitting, where will the brightest parts be. So I'll be assembling them, and I'm unsure of, we're going to use the other one. This is the SFG one, yes. Yes. Yeah, so that's how it's going to be. And then I'm going to just lightly brush the white on there. We just want that to be hitting right at the top. So that works. We also have the base. And since he's covering the base as well, we need to be sure to only hit the edges of the base that is not being covered by the wings. This is a bit of a problem as when I swap the wings for the other ones, it'll look a little different, but that's fine because the bases will be a different nuance, so they can sort of look a little different. So we're gonna leave that as is. take the other Wardak and put the heads on. These are the 3D printed heads and wings. They also look rather cool. The big difference is that they didn't have that. How should you say it? That little piece of resin that sort of fits like snugly into the armhole. But I don't mind. I just shoved another magnet in there for 2 magnets, and that worked really well. And then you can sort of position them a little different. They're not set in their ways. Their positions are not like decided by the sculpt, but instead by me, and that's what I prefer. So this is what we're doing. We're moving on to the base, of course, getting all the edges in white. The back part of the model will also get some brighter parts, and that should be fine. Should be enough. And then I'll wait for the other part of the Wardak. So I'll go for them after this. And just leave them for now. Moving on to the Strygons. We're going to assemble them with the wings as well. And they only really have one wing selection because, yeah, the bladed wings, or what do you call it, is just so good. So I have them on all my Strygons. I think they're the ones who give it, is it shield guard or is it I don't really recall if it's the head, but anyway, in total that means they get like they get shield guard and they generate 1 hunger point when they take damage first turn, the first time every turn. So that's really nice, really nice. Need to get some of that base as well on the previous one. Like so. Put that like so. Oh, sorry. Forgot a wing there. Let's get some on the base, some on the base, on the little leg and the base. The back is, of course, the main exposed part, so that will get little bright wings as well. They are a little flimsy with the magnets, so sometimes you just hold them a little, especially so you don't break them off. I've already broken one wing today. Let's not break anymore. But to be fair, one of the wings I broke is this one, and it's still there, even though I just dry brushed it again. So, and this is the gorgeous head. I don't need to put this on the model because it's gonna get some paint to the face, front of the face. It's a gorgeous one. More Strygons. Let's do the Strygons. Some more white paint. Hey, where are your wings? I forgot about the wings. Yep. Let's get some white on there. Just at the top. Brighten that up. we go. And last trigon, get those wings on. Let's do a little on the base first, easier. And as I said before, the base will get a different nuance, so it can be treated a little differently. There we go. I really like these bases. As you can tell, this is a big one. So looking down from ruins, very enjoyable to do these models. So let's get some bright white in there. These are going to look great in turquoise and rust and dark blue skin. Or more like black. Alright, another Strigon done. Let's move on to the Strigon Rider. Let's get some white in there on the brush. Let's do that. Sometimes it's nice to put them down on the table, just to get a feel of how is the model angled on the table. Is it sitting? Is it like the one I just showed you, the Strigon, that is like top heavy and leaning forward and everything. I do have a solution for that, so once I have gotten all this dry brushing done, I will move on to gluing things, and I'll show you what I'll do to keep these models from tipping over, because that's sort of the next step. Let's get the other Strigon out here. All right, nice night. Thank you so much for joining me here in my lonesome painting stuff, painting vampires. Let's put them down on the table. Let's see. Here we need some white. Here we need some white. Let's do that. There we go. But hey, Sibaris, I haven't done you yet, and you were the first one to get the next. You were the first to get the first layer. So let's start with you. Let's do the ruins. Then we also get the most out of the white of the brush so that we don't accidentally put the brush on the model and then there's way too much white paint on there. So that's not something you want. You want to keep that really controlled. Might sound a little fun because dry brushing is not always considered a controlled method, but it really is. If you do it properly, it definitely is. And this model would, of course, be brightest on the top, which is it's a wing, a tail, and part of the back. You always want the head to be a little bright, but it is covered a little by its own wing. So, but don't worry, we also want the wings to be sure to get that streaky look, because the speed paints really like that later. So, and of course we need to get this wing, this part, the outer part, how you say, the topmost part of the right wing, considering the angle it is in now. This is one of those models that are really prone to tipping over because it's like leaning a lot to the left or to the right, the base. So, you know, there's just a little push and it falls over. So I have taken it upon myself to solve that today. I'll do that after I've painted the rest of the white. I want this layer to really set before I go in with the speed paints. So moving on to Hycene herself, getting a little too much white paint, so starting with the base again, just to brighten that up. And the idea here is to create an army that is striking on the tabletop, but also very easy to paint so that you can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm very happy with these models. They do make it easier for me. They're very thankful to use speed paints on. The question is, what color should I use for her hair? I didn't consider that she had hair. Do you want to use like, I don't know, like really glossy black or something, like disgusting? Or do you want to use, I mean, that's more of an Ashmal thing, isn't it? He's sort of sliskig, as we would say in Swedish. He's like one of those dudes that's like a little gross. One of those dudes at the club that you don't want to hang around your peeps, but he just won't leave. Creepy. That's how he looks. Which makes sense. He's a vampire. That's sort of his ideal. To hang around until he can eat someone. Yeah. So what do we have left? Mordak parts and the Fane Knights. Let's do the Fane Knights. They're quite quick and easy. Not a lot of white there. Just a quick dab on the top. We got one. And we got two. And we got now three. I don't know if anybody's even watching this. It's just me talking to myself, isn't it? Because if people don't write in the chat, then I have no idea if someone's there. I'm sure there's a way to see like if there are people watching, but I've never done this before, so I have no idea. So, oh well. This will get saved on the YouTube, so if someone wants to like look at it later and see how did he paint that, then they can always go back to this. So that's one unit down. Starting the second one. Let's see. Not much left now. Getting there. And this is the arm I just glued on after having dropped this on the ground like a freaking noob. Have I never handled 3D resin printed before? What? Yes, I have, and I know how brittle they are, so I try to be a little careful. 2 units, 1 more unit of Fanites, and then we are done with the white. Which means I can finally get a little group shot of everything together. And need that for the recording part of the video later, as I need to record and doing all the speed paints. So let's see if I can get the speed paint started tonight. Otherwise, I'll just glue the washers on the bottom of the bases, and then I'll be done for tonight. As I really want these paints to set properly before getting the speed paints on there. Suppose I could varnish them, but I could also just wait until tomorrow. And last one. And I'm almost out of white paint. So hopefully we have enough to dust this guy up. You can see I'm sort of resting my finger on the back when painting or dry brushing the axe, because I'm doing it quite hard now, quite rough. I don't want to risk breaking anything off. And then we're doing the last parts of the armor and cloak. And there we go. Oh, that was the part I glued on when I got him home. Oh well. Let's glue that on. But we can actually dry brush that part first. We can put it back on. That's the third part of a model that I break in this session of 2 hours. It's now been 2 hours since I started painting. And I've been getting all this done. That's rather nice. There's been some broken things, some fixes. There we go. Assembled and fixed. Okay. Oh, dang it. The Vordax. They need to be disassembled again. Wings removed. Heads removed. Head attached. New head attached. And then next head on this guy. Wing removed. Wing removed. And then we need to attach these. This is actually my absolute favorite sculpt of the Warlock. Especially with these bases. They look so freaking cool. I mean, just look at this. I mean, how is this not an amazing pose? So cool. Needs to brighten that up. And we get the next one as well. As you can see here, you can see that I have attached 2 magnets here rather than 1. Yeah, you can't really tell. But 2 magnets rather than the 1, just to make sure it sits where it's supposed to be. And of course, equally as awesome. But with broken wings rather than whole ones. So very happy with these. Which means I need to get some more white out. I had hoped I wouldn't need to. It's so funny, isn't it? Because sometimes you just sit there, oh no, but I do have paint left, and I don't have to get some new paint. It's like, why can't you just put some more paint on? It's not like you're going to run out. Then it's a different issue, but I mean, I don't have, that's not going to happen. Not even close. And then we're going to get that bright white. Oh, a wasp has gotten into my garage. That's why I made the noise and just sounded a little funny. Need to take care of that. We had a wasp's nest outside. I think they're pissed off that I sprayed stuff on them. Not a big fan of wasps. Bees, all for them. Wasps, not a fan. Bees and bumblebees, those are my mates. Wasps can get the fuck out. There we go. Done. And the last Wardak. Let's get you painted. All right. Some white on there. I am really enjoying painting these models. This is just the dry brushing stage, you know. Can't wait to move on to the proper ones. The next stage, speed painting stage. That might be saved for a different video. Did I do white on this guy? On this head? I don't recall. I don't think I did, but I do have some white left, so why not? White not? Haha. Yes. All right, all done. Time to rinse brush. Again. That means that we need to get a little group picture of all this. So let's get some strigons. No, the big strigons in the back, small strigons in the front. Just like when you're taking a photograph for school. And we have a unit here, unit here. If we zoom out a little, there we go. There we go. Group picture. And of course, we need to get the pieces in there as well. So weird when you had a wasp in your face and it just feels like, oh, is it still on me? I need to find it, murder it dead. All right. There we have it. The group picture. Ta-da! I need to get a picture of that. And let's get a little background just to frame it a little. There we go. So it looks proper. So it looks proper. Let's remove these things. There we go. Get a little group picture there. All right, time to get those washers. Rinse the brush properly. Put that back. Where did I put those washers? All right, let's get started on these things. Okay, so let's see if these fit. I just picked some of these washers up because I don't like the idea of my models falling over. So I decided to get some of these. They're a little weight to them, and they fit perfectly under the SFG bases, like so. They also have a hole in the middle, so I can still magnetize the base. But they will be good to use. I mean, they'll help a little, make it less likely that things tip over, which is good. So we're going to use a little glue on there. Start with the 50mm bases. That's where we're going to go. This is why I actually love the new Steamforce bases, because they don't have anything underneath. So you can fit a washer under there without having to remove a bunch of stuff. You can just sort of put it there, and there we go. Put that right in there. Get that little light spray. So that it hardens immediately. And all of a sudden, this model is a lot heavier, and the base is a lot heavier. So that's a big difference when it comes to moving it and tipping it over. So especially with models like Siberis here, very easy to tip over. You're gonna get these things glued on here as well. There we go. Get one of those washers in there, and bam. What I love is the fact that they have a hole in the middle, because this entire army is being magnetized, of course, to be able to carry in a magnetized carrying case. So this makes it so much easier, so it doesn't tip over as easily. You guys saw that I tipped it before? Look at that. Barely tips over. So much better. So much better. Since I like making the extravagant basing, it does simplify my life a little to have these washers in here. Because let's face it, we all like metal models, not because they are prone to breaking, and not because they are prone to chipping, paint chipping, but we all do love the weight of metal models. And this sort of gets me the same feel. So I'm looking forward to getting that feel when moving these around the table. There is an issue with this though, because this does make the base rather heavy, which also means if you drop a model on the floor, for example, the base being heavy can make it even more prone to breaking. But let's face it, these models are very easily broken anyway, so it's not really an issue. Oh, this was a great decision. Very happy about this. Proud of myself. And if it wasn't for Steamforge's fantastic bases that removed all the clutter that many bases have, if you look like the older style PP bases, for example, or even the 30mm bases, they look like this. They have a freaking slot. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do slots. Slots are awful. You can't do this on the slotted models, and that's an issue. Because this is perfection. That's awesome. And that was all the large base models. So I have some extra ones here. Let's just put those where they're meant to be in their box. There we go. Moving on to the next ones, which is the 40mm. Because let's face it, the army is just full of 40mm models, which means I need a bunch of 30mm washers. Let's start with these prone to tipping, like this guy here, sitting like a gargoyle leaning forward. It looks really cool though. Very happy with him. Let's get this thing here. If you're wondering why I'm using a glue that's almost run out, that's precisely why. It's almost run out. And I can just squeeze it out as much as I can. There we go. It's a big difference as well. So much better. So much better. Doesn't tip as easily at all. Look at this. That's what you want right there. Amazing. We want heavy base models. Heavy is good. Heavy is good. Heavy is reliable. If it doesn't work, you can always hit them with it. I'll give you a Chocolat if you know where that movie quote is from. Come on, if someone is watching, they better know this. One of the greatest movies of all time. Yeah, loving this already. Perfect. This is perfection right here. I don't know what to do about 30mm bases. I don't know if SFG even make 30mm bases without slots. Have they started making that? Or is it all still slotted bases? I am unsure. I hope they'll start soon anyway. Hyacine as well, getting a little weighted down. Ashmal, you jumpy crazy. He will also be pinned down by a heavy washer. Let's go. And then we got magnets coming. I think we'll have some 5mm magnets for these ones, maybe 6mm for the heavies. Strygons. The Strygons creeping on the ground. And now it's just the Fane left. So we need to open the next bag. Where we have 12 more models. On the other hand, these guys aren't really. Maybe they don't need these. I mean, they're all standing on the ground. They're not flimsy, not prone to tipping over. Yeah, they are. Of course they tip over. What am I thinking? Models tip over all the time. Let's stop that from happening. Okay. Yeah, it just makes me happy to lift models, have a little weight to them. I am a bit of an old Hammer fanatic, so I'm a big fan of the metal models and such from Warhammer back in the day. But War Machine is just the best miniature game I've ever played in my life. So that's what almost all my hobby time goes to nowadays. I occasionally enjoy the game of second or third at 40k or the game Warhammer Renaissance, for example, or 6th edition of Warhammer Fantasy. But I don't have, I mean, I have limited hobby time. I have a family and I have a job, you know. Okay, currently don't have a job, but soon. And it's just, we have a thriving, I would say, well, not thriving, let's say we have a really good, yeah, thriving is a good word. We have a thriving War Machine community in my town and in my local community. Um, we had a journeyman league. We had like 14 players participating. Has there been 14 at every games night? No, there hasn't. Has there been 14 players in total? Yes, there has. But we've still been like between 4 and 8 almost every game night. It's been a little rough since vacation started. And now many of us want to play 100 points, sort of sparring for the Swedish Masters coming coming up in 3 weeks. So just another 4 models, and then I can start speed painting. What should be the first step? Probably the skin of the beasts will be the first. Or maybe the armor on all models. No. Let's do the skin first. Skin on the beasts. I think that'll be the first step. And that will be Tyrion Navy. My own mix, actually, I've mixed it out a little with medium. So I have my own special sauce. All right. All washers are on. Models tipping over? No, they're not. Okay, that's funny. But yeah, if you give this a heck of a push, it'll tip over. But less than that, it's going back. So, very happy with this. And then we have the trigons. Let's move those in, get everyone in frame. Move you guys aside, and then we can squeeze you in here. Small trigons in front. All right, that's as far as we got today. I think that'll be the end of this live stream. Because moving on to the speed painting part, I will most likely film that and then move on to making videos out of it, shrink them down a bit. So I think this will be it for tonight. So if you've been watching, thank you so much. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit sitting here. It's my first time doing one of these, so I'm happy to have done it and give it a go, and we'll definitely do it again. So cheers for joining me. Thanks so much, and I hope you also enjoy speed painting stuff. I'm now 2.5 hours down. I have 21.5 hours to go to finish this. All